Welcome back. We are here with Ethan Carpenter from Blue Nile Home Services from Greenville, South Carolina. Ethan, how are you doing today?
Man, I'm doing fantastic, and I'm so much better now that I'm here talking with you, Easton.
Yes, it's so good to chat. So,
Yeah, let's preface this a little bit. What just happened?
yeah, so basically we filmed for 5 minutes straight, and Ethan completely lost connection. I couldn't even hear him for like 30 seconds. So we're jumping back in. So um, you've been in the contracting industry for 8 years, and you've had your own business in the contracting industry for 2. How did all this start for you?
How did all of this start? Yeah, so my entire life, I knew that I wanted to do something of my own, right? I knew it from the very, very beginning, and I was trying to figure out a good avenue to get there. And my business, the way I started my business, actually happened by accident. If I could relate that a little bit. So I got out of college and I had studied retail management, and I was thinking I was going to do something in that, but I decided that wasn't for me. So I went to go work with my dad for a little bit and worked with him for 6 months. And then the kind of future business owner in me started butting heads with my dad about how things should be run. And so we started butting heads, and then I decided that's not for me too, right? So I pack up all my things in my car. I go out to the mountains for 7 days and I do some soul searching. And I'm like, okay, Ethan, what are you really supposed to do, man? And while I'm out there, I get a call from a guy that I knew in high school, Christian Baker, and I'm like 6,000 feet up in the air. He gives me a call. He's like, hey, man, I have an SEO firm. I think you'd be excellent at it. Just come down to Charleston and we can get you set up with an apartment. So after about 2 days of mulling over that, I end up going to Charleston and starting working there for a SEO firm that ironically, we did SEO for contractors. And so I was kind of dipping my feet in the waters early on with how you can get leads online and how you can really scale a contracting company online. And so I worked with him for about 6 months. And then I get a call from my dad and he said, hey, man, let's go snowboarding. So we go snowboarding, right? We're out in the mountains. And at the very end of the day, I just completely shatter my shoulder, man. And long story short, I'm really glad this happened because although my shoulder was destroyed, I had about 2.5 weeks off of work to think about if this was really, really for me. And while I did enjoy the job, it became kind of monotonous, and I don't really thrive off monotony. And so I made the decision while I had that free time that this is the moment that I need to start my company. And I came back to Charleston and got started. And thankfully, my boss took it really well, and he got me started with a website, with a lead service, and man, the rest is history. We've been rolling ever since.
That's awesome. And you
Yeah.
have some amazing work with your doors or like just in general. How did you get so good at your craft?
Well, first, thank you, Easton. That means a lot, man. Comments like that actually really, really keep us going. And we have gotten good over time with a lot of failure. We fail every single day, man. I probably fail more than most other contractors because I put myself into positions that I know I'm not gonna, like do good the first time, right? There's a learning curve with everything. And my mentality about my business is that there's this thing such as perfection, right? That doesn't exist. We have this idea in our mind about perfection. And I think truly only God is perfect. But what we do is we can get close to perfect. And my job is to make that little gap between close to perfection and perfection smaller and smaller and smaller every single day. And that fire under the ass mentality has brought us to be really well suited for what we do for other people. And we can really make people happy at the end of the day because of that mentality.
I really like that. That's really, really good. And you are obviously very successful in an industry that's very difficult to succeed in. Why do you think that you've had, the opportunity to have such high success?
Sure. Yeah. So the success aspect in the contracting world is driven from many different variables. If you are a contractor, Easton, and you show up on time and you don't raise your price and you do what you say you're going to do, you will excel. You will actually do really, really well. And that's because there's a lot of contractors out there who don't do that kind of thing. So what we do to achieve success is we set commitments for the client, and we always break those. We all not break those commitments. Sorry, we always excel beyond those commitments, right? And so we really try to do a good job to show our clients that we're the real deal. And so we communicate like that, we work like that, and we carry ourselves like we're true professionals. And I think that's what separates us from other contractors, I would say.
Yeah. And if there is one thing that you wish that your clients knew about your business or your processes or your systems, what would that be?
The one thing, huh? Okay. So I would think the one thing would be that we have a very highly attentive model, right? Before we take any door out of the shop, we check it 3 or 4 times. We're extremely, extremely attentive to detail to the point where I'm at the shop at 10 p.m. at night and I'm looking over these things with a flashlight. That's the
Yeah.
kind of attention to detail that we're given these doors and these projects. And the client knows that when they give us a call. They know that we're the premier company. They know that we're sought after, and they know that they're going to get that. And so we really really try to hone that part in Easton is the attention to detail aspect, and I would like our clients and potential customers to know about that.
Yeah. Yeah. I think that's the way, just like actually caring, like actually putting some sort
Yeah.
of care like into what you're doing. Cause I think that's kind of fell to the wayside. And
Yes.
if you could share one trade secret, what would that be?
Okay. One trade secret. This is a great question, Easton. So this is more of a secret of life than it is a trade secret. But actually, I'm gonna save that till the very end. I'm gonna say that till the very end because this is a
Okay.
trade secret for my specific industry. Prep work is essential. Prep work and masking is absolutely essential. You can't go into a cabinet job and not, and do a really, really good job if you have subpar masking, if you have subpar preparation. And so the dirty parts of the job are actually just as important as the fine part where you're spraying on the paint. And a lot of people mess that up, right? We go into jobs where the paint's flaking or the paint's coming off after like a month and a half, and we're actually called in to fix those problems. And we explain to the client that the majority, 80% of our job is actually sanding, prepping, vacuuming, cleaning, the dirty stuff that nobody wants to do. And then we come in with the finer processes and use the Kremlins and use the lacquers and things like that. So that's a trade secret I would say is just do the utmost in the preparation.
Yeah. And you also mentioned that you and your dad worked together when you kind of first started all this. How important was he to your success now?
He's extremely important. He's essential. My dad has been an awesome role model my entire life with business and with life, with being a man. And I'm super super grateful for my dad's assistance. He showed me a whole bunch of things, man. I mean, I wouldn't even be spraying cabinets right now if it weren't for my dad. I got into it because I wanted to follow in my dad's footsteps. And so I was grown up in his shop. I was sanding in his shop. I was spraying, and now we're working up to the point where I'm taking on full cabinet jobs, and I have a company, and it's an awesome thing to look back and say, what are the puzzle pieces that made this possible? And my dad is definitely one of those pieces. And we still actually work together. We work together on a lot of projects, and he brings a certain level of expertise that I still am attaining to.
Yeah.
I am still attaining to learn everything, and I know that I don't know everything. And so I have to bring in and delegate those things out where necessary. And my dad is a really, really big portion of that in my life.
Did that have a positive effect on your guys' relationship at home?
Yeah, I would say yes and no. Working together and living together has never been a good thing. And so growing up and working for my dad and living with my dad, we would butt heads. But I think that, while we did butt heads, it was we both had the same thing in mind, right? We both wanted the best, and we just had different routes of getting there.
Yeah.
And we had to overcome that. And honestly, man, I had to overcome that. I had to grow into a bigger man to be able to look back and say, hey, yo, you were right, man. You were right
Yeah.
this entire time about this. And I just wanted to be right. So yeah, it's definitely working together and living separately now. It is really a good thing for us. And that relationship is stellar right now. We do a great job.
That's awesome. And it sounds like your dad was, I mean, insanely crucial and that, like that kind of built up your guys' relationship. And um, you kind of answered this before, but what differentiates your contracting business versus others?
What differentiates us is first off the attention to detail. That's really, really big. And also we keep our commitments, Easton. Everything that I say I do, I do. And our clients, they know that, right? There's a lot of people, for example, I'm not going to disclose who this is, obviously. But today, or actually the other week, my parents had their floors redone. right? And so they ripped up all the carpet, redid the floors, and then they ended up ripping off some of the base molding in every single area where they did the floors. And then they glued it back and they didn't sand it down or didn't do anything. It looks like crap. Right. And so this guy they've been dealing with this guy for the past 3 weeks just to fix this one problem. Right. I would have already been there and already done that.
Yeah.
Like we've had to completely redo projects because of the fact that our client doesn't absolutely love it. Like I want my client to absolutely love what we do. And that's when I leave the house. That's when I take my check. That's when I'm satisfied, is when my clients are satisfied. And we really hold that crucial to our business and how we operate, man.
And it's very refreshing to see that you give a shit. Like, to hear you say this now makes me so just happy, because you care. And like, not even like the business side is cool, but like you care about the human. Like, you care about actually doing a good job, not only for the client, but just to make like you guys happy and them happy from a human standpoint, like not even like from a money exchange standpoint. And I love that about you guys. And to kind of switch gears here, when you first made your jump into like entrepreneurship, what is the first thing that you realized?
The first thing I realized was the $0 amount on my bank account. But the second thing I realized was that I really, really had to pick myself up by my bootstraps every single day. That I had to forge on every single day, right? And kind of keep my head up through the ups and the downs, which is inevitable in business. And I learned extremely quickly that the most vital thing behind any business is the why, is why you're doing it, why I'm there, who I'm looking to please. And doing that deep philosophical inquiry at the beginning of the business, I think is essential, because you could have your how figured out, your systems, your processes, your employees, your tax situations, all your the way you structure your business, that could be all figured out. But that's not going to be the thing that carries you through the hard times, where you don't have any money in your bank account, where you don't see success, where you don't have business. The why is why you push on. And that's what I learned real quick, is that I need that driving factor behind everything. And so I really cultivated that when I started my business. And now I know exactly what that is, why I'm doing it, and potentially how long it's going to take to get there.
Yeah. And kind of on that same like level with the why, you have a quote on your website from Napoleon Hill.
Yes, I do.
How has he impacted your mindset in life?
Well, Napoleon Hill, reading his books, you really do gain a little bit of insight into life and in business in general. And he wrote the quote on the website. I can't remember exactly. I need to go back and look at that. It's been a long time since I've edited the website, but reading his book, Think and Grow Rich, man, in order to grow rich, you have to envision it. You have to envision it every single day. You got to build yourself up in your mind, and you got to strive to get there. And that's why it's crucial to do that first, because, how are you going to navigate a ship if the ship doesn't, if like the why, the destination isn't apparent, then how are you going to steer your ship in that direction? The how is awesome, the sails, the rudder and all that, but that's all useless if you don't know where you're going. It's all useless if you don't know where you're going. And so he was one of the earliest people to really hone that in literature, Napoleon Hill, and saying that in order to grow rich, you must believe and think in your mind about that ideal version.
I like that. And boxing has also been a huge part of your life. How do you think this helped shape you as a man?
Boxing?
Yes.
Oh man, we could do a whole podcast on this. Boxing is one of the best things for me, man. And if you're actually touching a sensitive subject right now, because after my accident, I wasn't able to box like I did before. My entire growing up, I was a boxer, kickboxer, jujitsu, MMA. I was doing this stuff my entire life, every single day, bro. I'm telling you, I would be in the gym for 3 hours running I was the president of the boxing club for 2 years in college. And I was building up this club. And every single day I had a commitment to these guys to be the most in shape and to kind of pave the way, because that's how you get elected. And so that was my life, man. And I actually, before I graduated, or when I graduated, I was thinking about going, like chasing this professionally. And then the shoulder accident happens and it takes me out of it completely. And so I'm focused. I had to take a step back and focus on what's going on up here rather than going on in my muscles. But to answer your question, I think boxing and martial arts gives you a very, very lot of things in your life. And one of those things is the ability to look at a situation and handle it without being super animated, right? Man, this is tough to describe. Mixed martial arts and boxing has been essential in my life, and I think I just got to leave it there because I'll end up going on a tangent. But it's really given me strength and perseverance, and I've worked through my troubles because I know that if I can work through it in the ring, I can work through it in life. I think that's the way I should say it.
Yes, that is perfect. And when you came back from being injured, how did this change your perspective on how you view life?
Yeah, it did actually. It completely actually 180'd that. Because before I was thinking I got to prove myself with my physical fitness. I got to be the best physically, and I got to have people look at me and my 6-pack of abs or this or that. And after I get my injury and I'm not able to really do that to the same extent before, I'm supposed to look at, it made me look at different parts of my life, like focus on what I can do with my brain and think smarter and create systems. And so that pivoted me to focus more in that direction, that injury. And, my life completely 180'd after that point. I still love to train. I still love to box. I still watch it all the time, but it's not how I prove myself anymore. I prove myself through other things, and I'm looking for validation in other areas of my life.
And with that, you are huge into that self-development. Why not just be average?
Ooh, why not just be average? Well, I think some people can be. I don't ever want to be average, and I cannot be, because innately I know deep down that I will completely all the time be unsatisfied with myself.
Yeah.
I'm in the business of being satisfied with what I do. And at the end of my life, I want to look back and say, I'm regarded for this or that. I built that, I did that, and I'm regarded for it. And I can never go through life just doing the minimal, right? And it's because I physically can't. And I think that's what we're talking about is being a good person, right? You physically can't leave somebody hanging. And leaving somebody hanging in the contracting world, like not showing up when you're supposed to, is being average. But being excellent is coming even though you're losing money, even though you have to pay your employee twice, even though you have to buy the materials twice, do the whole job once again. You're showing up because you're not average. You're showing up because you're exemplary. And that's the way I go about my life.
I have 2 more questions.
Yeah.
What is a quality or a characteristic about yourself that you are most proud of?
Probably my creativity, I would say. I really like my creativity. And after work, that's all I do. I get off work and I write my book. I do my podcast. I work on my creative aspect. And I try to channel that in many ways, and I channel that through my business, and the coolest project I ever did was that high gloss set of cabinetry. And I would like to do more of that because there's a little bit of an artist touch in it. It's not just, there is an artist touch in the cabinetry that I do now, but that was a different scale. And I really, really enjoy testing myself and kind of, taking more creativity and pouring it into my work.
Yeah, I think that's interesting because I think about this as well. It's if you're creative, I think you can inject that into whatever you're doing. And I think people can feel that passion and people can feel that excitement through your creativity. If that's accounting, if that's content creation, if that's just contracting or laying a floor. I have one more question. If you could have dinner with 2 people, one person from the past and one person from the present, who would it be and why?
You might have to cut this part out while I think about it, because this is, dude, I am super huge into history, super huge.
Every single person, I've had 9 guests so far. Every single person has done this. They're like, I have no clue. Oh my gosh, let me think about it. So you are not alone.
Okay, so somebody right now and somebody in the past.
Yes.
Okay, so somebody in the past that I would like to meet would probably be Teddy Roosevelt. I really like that era and it would be cool to be, you know, kind of going around in horses with cavalry and, you know, invading the Panama Canal or whatever. But also because he was an awesome president. That would be really, really cool. If not him, then probably, you know, Julius Caesar or Jesus Christ or you know, somebody else. I should probably say Jesus Christ first. And then today, who I would want to meet today would be somebody like Robert Kennedy Jr. He is this really excellent guy, dude, and I love his podcasts. Where when he's speaking with people, when he was on Joe Rogan, he was talking about all these things that he's done, and I feel like guys like that who have been put through so much in their life and been ostracized and now is in a great position where they could potentially be the president of the United States can really impart a lot of knowledge onto you and your insight and things like that. So I think today I would want to talk with him or Joe Rogan. I give you like 4 different answers, but it's because it's hard, but those are who I would say.
I like those. So is there anything that you would like to say to people, and how can people find you?
Yeah, sure. So you can find me on social media. You can find me on Facebook, Ethan Carpenter. I run a lot of my business through my personal page on Facebook, and I'm growing a following on that. So if you want to look me on Facebook, it's Ethan Carpenter. You'll see a green background with a guy in a suit. And then you can follow me on Instagram, Blue Nile Home Services. And my website is www.bluenilehomeservices.com. So if you guys want to check it out, see some of our work, you could simply Google Blue Nile Home Services and see what we do. But Easton, I really do appreciate you having me on, man. It's been a fantastic time.
It's been amazing, man. I appreciate it, and I can feel your passion, and I can feel that you care. So it's been a great conversation, and I just appreciate you as well. And thank you for coming on.
Yeah, man. Of course. Well, I'll talk soon.
Yes, sir. Thanks, man.